All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to do a quick video, which I don't know, I guess it's kind of a public service announcement because I was just doing a Views on View podcast this morning and Lindsay directed me to a thread where Evan is basically giving us an indication of how Vue should be used going forward in terms of like composition API, the editor choice, stuff like that. Because there was somebody who asked a question on GitHub discussions who was basically saying there's a lot of new ways of doing things in Vue, and it looked like that person was like getting confused of how they should be doing things. What's the recommended way of doing things, which is a totally viable thing to say because um, especially if you're trying to grow a team or if you're on a team, you want to know the recommended way of doing things so that everybody does things the right way. And I guess there has been like a little bit of a state of flux at the moment with Vue since, the introduction of the composition API. And I don't want to paraphrase Evan too much here because I really think that you should just go check out the thread that I've attached to this post. I don't think you'll be able to see it on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, maybe look up Sacrificing Simplicity on the Vue Js GitHub discussions channel, or it's on an RFC. Anyway, but anyway, let me just get to the point now, which is what are the things that Evan is recommending moving forward. But I highly recommend, once again, please do go check out this GitHub discussion so that you're not just hearing it from me, you're hearing it from Evan himself because he has a deep understanding of all of this, of course, as the creator of Vue. So first of all, he says, use SFCs. And for those of you that are new, that means single file components. So where you've got the template, you've got the script tag, and then you might have a style tag as well. So he says, use SFCs. Now for that script tag, he says, use the setup, use script setup in your SFCs, right? And for those of you that don't know, script setup is basically a new way of using the composition API, which takes away a lot of the boilerplate for you. So instead of having to say export default, for example, you don't have to do that anymore. It'll also automatically be done behind the scenes. It'll do the export default and then the setup function, all that stuff. You don't have to write it anymore. You just write it directly in the script tag. It's amazing because all of your code ends up on the left side of your editor, and you don't have nested things anymore. It's a really nice way to write code. So he says, use SFCs using script setup. And one other pro of script setup is that your variables, your refs become immediately available on your template, which is wonderful. It means you don't have to export them anymore. And you might automatically think, well, maybe this means I get a performance hit. Turns out you actually don't, because the compiler is able to basically say, I can see that this is being used on the template, so I'm going to export it. And it can sort of decide whether or not it should export variables at compile time. So use SFCs with script setup and the composition API. So that's the first thing that Evan recommended. The second one was use VS Code with Vola. Okay, so what's that all about? Vola is an alternative to Viter, and if you don't know what Vita is, it's basically some tooling in VS Code that allows you to do a lot of Vue-related stuff. So syntax highlighting for single file components, being able to control click through variables and get to functions, all that kind of like good editor type stuff. You use Vita for that. However, they're now recommending you use VS Code with Vola. So Vola is kind of like an alternative to Vita. I haven't actually played around with it much yet, but this is what his recommendation is. And he also goes on to say, or WebStorm once it supports the script setup, which should be shipping soon. Okay, so use SFCs with script setup and the composition API. Use VS Code with Vola. Okay, so we're moving from Vita over to Vola. The third thing is not strictly required for TypeScript, but if applicable, use Vite for build tooling. Now, a lot of the people that are following me are going to be Quasar people. One sec, I got a comment here. Hey, hello, Sacramentix. Thanks for saying hi. Yeah, so for a lot of people in the Quasar community, this isn't going to make sense yet because a lot of the fact that we can export to different platforms, a lot of that comes from the fact that we're using Webpack behind the scenes. So, but if you're starting a raw new project, or when Quasar eventually makes it possible to integrate with Vite, it's actually does have some preliminary Vite stuff, but it's still in beta to the best of my understanding. Anyway, I'll try to keep this away from Quasar, make it more generalistic. So yeah, if you're creating a new project, you probably want to start using Vite now. So for those of you that don't know, one of the huge benefits to Vite is that everything is going to run a lot faster in your dev server when you first start it up. So rather than having to wait a few seconds for things to start up, using Vite, it literally takes milliseconds. And so once again, in the Quasar world, we might have more integrations with that in the future. I imagine we will. And, we'll probably end up getting SSR, SPA, PWA support in the future. But for now, we're going to stick to Webpack. For everyone else, though, you probably want to start steering towards using Vite. And Sacramentic says, yeah, Vola support with script setup, syntax sugar, auto-completion. Yeah, very, very exciting stuff. So hopefully this has been helpful for all of you. I'm doing a podcast on this. I'm going to do some videos on this as well. But I wanted to do a quick live stream just to get people sort of up to speed quickly. And I'm going to go through those things one more time. Just to make sure that it's very clear. Use single file components with script setup and the composition API. Use Visual Studio Code with Vola. Okay, so instead of Vita, we're using Vola. Not strictly required for TypeScript, but if applicable, use Vite for build tooling. All right. Now, please don't just take what I'm saying here as religion or whatever. Go check out. I've included it in the comment. You might not get it on Twitter, but go ahead and check out this thread. Evan gives a lot of extra clarification around why he made this decision, around why the composition API hasn't been strongly recommended up until this point. So if you want answers to those questions, please do check out the link attached to this video. Let me just quickly scroll up here and get you a bit more information on how you might find that. So if you go to Vue.js/RFCs on GitHub, so github.com/Vue.js/RFCs/discussions. You know what? Let me just put it up here so that it's in the video as well. I'll create a banner here. That's the place you want to go to actually view this RFC. So I know it might be annoying to type that in, but maybe you can kind of like Google RFCs discussion 378 for Vue.js or something like that. I don't know if there's a better way to find it for now. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll give you a better link because I created a link on Rebrandly. That's a very, very short link. So you can actually type that in right now if you're watching this video. So 1 second. By the way, thank you for everyone that's been sticking around. I've probably got it from memory, but I just want to double check what this link is. Wow, that's taking a while to load up. Here we go. Let's copy that and paste that in there so that you know where you need to go to view this. So let's hide that, create a new one. There we go. I created a short link for it. And that's it there. So if you go to qua.sarl/vnew, that's going to take you directly to that discussion thread. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Please do go read that thread if you're in the Vue community. And I think you're going to find that he says that he's updating the docs as well to start reflecting some of the changes here. So if you want to be on top of that, ahead of the game, then go ahead and check out that URL. And yeah, I'll see you all in a future stream. All right. Bye for now.